Postal truck going up on the tow truck. Somebody's not getting their mail today. Well, it's time to take a break and hydrate. Yeah, I've been unloading some of the blue trailer, sorting it, and putting it right into the back of the truck so it can go to the consignment auction in the morning. And of course, I'm building the consignment lot for the auction. I'm doing it right here on the tailgate in the carport. It's a little cooler because the trees shade it. But Rose contributed some garden items, which we added to some coming out of the New Zealand house, out of the house for the guys headed to New Zealand. Metro cart, some more piano dollies, old wooden crates, some new crates, more of those in the trailer, Home Depot buckets, plastic totes, those are always good. Here's another dolly that will be going along. And I'm just sorting those retail packing supplies. Taking a look at what I might use in the way of bubbles. Definitely any of the eBay branded polys. Here's a pack of the large eBay polys. I haven't bought this size in a while. These are good for paperwork that you want to ship flat, like ephemera, coats, that type of thing. But they've got an awful lot of these like retail bags, so I'll have to decide, these are probably going into my shop for use with my sales. But the big poly envelopes like this one underneath here, yeah, those I will probably make a lot with. Trailer, it's come along, but it's probably only half unloaded. I've spilled it out onto the tailgate here so I can kind of sort through because what I'm after in some cases are like the InstaCrates on the bottom. There's a wooden crate over here. And if I transfer that into the type of crates I keep, for now anyway, I can then make up a stack of InstaCrate. Here's one. There are a couple already pulled out, and a stack of those would do well at auction. There's a few more milk crates to go to Rose's Milk Crate Mountain, but I think she's down to about a dozen now and has a guy who is interested. Here's a U-line rolling cart, a metal one. Here's another InstaCrate. So basically I'm transferring the things we packed in the basement out of these items I'd like to send to auction. If I put them into totes like this, I can then stack them better. They had a lot of flip-top totes in the basement, so of course we loaded and took those. When I'm done with the flip-tops, they'll either go to Brandy or a stack will go to auction. Here you can see the empties I'm sorting into. But it's time to go get some water, hydrate, and cool off. Yeah, underneath there, most of that whole corner section, those are the IKEA cabinets. Those are those white IKEA cabinets. The glass is already in the garage, but those are about, 3.5 foot long or so. There's a pop-up pavilion with a soft top for going to a swap meet or something like that. They had an awful lot of these storage bins. And sometimes, like these here, if I get enough of them or I put a group of them together, they can go. There's a whole roll of unused brown crumple paper, all sorts of things. But basically my goal today is to fill up the truck so in the morning I can run a group over to auction. Mixed in with the packaging, there's some eBay brown, those are the lightweight cardboard. I use the smaller ones for eBay Standard. I don't know if those are too large for eBay Standard or not, but it's certainly something I'll have to check before I decide what to do with them. Mixed in with the packing materials, a bunch of old postcards and photos. Like I say, they were ephemera sellers, so I'll be finding this stuff all over the lots. Here is my eBay Standard envelope that I use, 6x8. Here's the ones I just pulled out of the trailer load, a little larger. Even if they weighed over 3 ounces once loaded, which is the top end of an eBay Standard label, they could still be used to ship larger photographs and ephemera, even if you had to buy a Ground Advantage ticket. Here's an entire new case of those envelopes. Yep, eBay. After yesterday's rain trapped the kids in the house, today turned out to be very nice. It's back to blue sky. And the board's all set up. A little later this evening when they're done kayaking, I think we'll play a little Catan. My grandson especially loves this game. He set it up early and he's been trying to talk enough people into playing it. But with the kayaks in the sunshine, rain tomorrow, this may have to wait till tomorrow. But this is the seafaring variation. You take a regular Catan and you expand it. I started yesterday, even though it was raining. I worked in the afternoon in the Carport. Rose took all the visitors bowling, of all things, and they were kind of, especially the young kids, they're trapped inside the house and they go a little stir crazy. But today the sun popped out, it was nice, so being the matriarch she is, I think she got a group of 11 together. My daughter Brandy, her girls, my daughter Tanya, her son, my grandson, and my niece and her 4 children. So Rose packed them all into a couple of SUVs. Now they could just drive around from here to the city. Rose doesn't care much for driving in the city, and of course if you get the cars separated with an out-of-towner, then you spend all your time trying to sync back up, trying to use the GPSs and things. And the one is a rental car. It's a nice rental car, but of course she's not all that familiar with it. So instead Rose takes them around over towards where we used to live, and there's a ferry runs from Bremerton to Seattle. I featured it before. She can load them on. Walk-on passengers don't pay in that direction. So she can put that group of 11 on the ferry, take them over, they can spend the day, they can see all the sights that an out-of-towner likes to see, and the ones my daughters enjoy seeing repeatedly because, of course, one lives here, the other visits regularly. But I do not envy them the walk. The disadvantage of the sun coming out today in blue sky, it's going to be hot, and just about everything they're going to want to see is up an incline. The ferry will come in at the water level, they'll disembark, and then they'll have to start working their way uphill. Now they do rent things like bicycles, they've got town cars, I think they've got some carriages, so maybe if the little ones get tired, Rose will spring for some of the rides that are available over there. But generally they just walk. But we haven't had little kids as part of a tour group in quite some time, so I'll be curious to hear how this plays out. But I'm sure they'll see things like Pike's Plate Market. She may take them over to what used to be the EMP, the Music Pavilion. I'm not sure what they call it these days. I think when they named it, they kind of narrowed the focus a little too much, kind of like a niche seller on eBay. So I think after a while, as they started to get fewer people going through, it's kind of a music museum, event center. I think they've renamed it to kind of expand the draw, which of course is what a generalist does on eBay. The guy's lit off his lawnmower across the lake. He's doing a great job of mowing dirt. Yep, big dust cloud over there. Guy's mowing his dirt. He ain't got much of a lawn, especially for a riding mower, but he sure is mowing some dirt. And you can hear him running into things. The other noise here on the lake today, one of the few times a year we have a power boat. Yeah, they're cruising up and down, treating the lake for something with a chemical. And I'm sure at some point in the future, just like saccharin and so many other things, asbestos, it seemed like a good idea at the time. And I'm sure in a generation or so, that'll be the next class action suit. Whatever it is, they're pumping into the lake to treat it. But the power boat's equipped with a bunch of holding tanks, and it's got a bunch of trailing hoses, and they just go back and forth on the lake, pumping whatever that is to prevent whatever it's supposed to into the lake. There you can see the hoses, the tanks. They say it's not harmful to animals, whether wild or domestic, and it's not supposed to be harmful to people, but the notice they hand out says, don't go swimming after we treat it, and that makes you wonder. Well, I'm going to finish my water, go back to prepping those consignment lines. It's too loud anyway with that guy with his lawnmower. Now in this flip-top bin, it's full of boards, cardboard stiffeners, and envelopes for doing things like magazines and comics and ephemera. But here's something I'd never seen before. They actually took a 3-ring binder and they put their different size bags inside a binder. So all I had to do is pull it down from the shelf and all these different size little sleeves are here. Yeah, interesting. I'll put all this to use. And of course every one of these I got from the guys moving to New Zealand is one I don't have to pay, and it makes my packaging look a little better as I ship to my buyers. Yeah, this is what I mean about finding old stamps. Some of these have been cut off envelopes, but some of these have never been used. Old checks and ephemera from 1944 in cigar boxes. An old tin for perfect powders. And here, a little book set with a leather strap. Looks like a Deutsch. That's German. Well, we made a dent in it. A lot of sorting left. A lot of admin and ephemera. And that big brown box, those look like LP mailers, eBay branded. So that's a good score. They're worth nearly $1 a piece, and there's a whole box there. There are the arms for that other bungee cord chair. Now here are some examples of items I've brought straight in from the trailer. Another big Dyson bladeless fan. Well, I got the load ready for consignment. I'll type up my list in the morning and drive that over. The group in Seattle will probably be home a little later, but I expect they'll be sleeping in tomorrow morning. Yeah, I expect that trek up the slope of Seattle has probably tired them out. But as always, just because I finished the outside work and got that chore done, doesn't mean I'm done for the night. It's that erratic nature of reselling. But I did have some good sales today. These came in with some electronic circuits. I actually had 4 of them, and the buyer bought all 4. Initial base price was 22 something per switch. I suspect I discounted it for volume, but they took the whole count. And what's nice is they really won't add up to much when I go to pack them. They'll pack out in a small box. Same is true of this multi-quantity listing. These came from that old SoundTech load that I got years ago clearing out a storage unit. And you can see they're a particular type of audio adapter. And because they didn't have a lot of value, I sell these as pairs, 2 at a time. But the brand? Pomona. And the last time I sold a Pomona item I checked, they are in fact still a functioning company. Looks like they were absorbed by the Fluke company. Fluke, of course, has been making fantastic test equipment for decades. I used it when I was an 18-year-old checking aboard my first submarine. Of course, though they were just beginning to go digital in those days. Now, of course, it's all smaller, brighter, more compact, handheld equipment. But Fluke, good company. So Pomona is the brand on these. These are vintage new old stock. The last item also brings back a good memory. It's a little model kit. It seems to be designed basically on the concept of Legos, but this is a Japanese aircraft, a Boeing I think, but the packaging is all in Japanese. So I got it from the estate of a Boeing employee. It was probably a gift sent to him because he may have worked on one of these aircraft. But I remember the first time I flew to Japan, big aircraft. It was one of those wide bodies, 2 aisles, big row of seats in the middle, rows of seats on either side. And the 2 things that impressed me most about the flight, well, actually, I guess there were several things that impressed me about the flight. When they were done serving the food, it all went to the back because it was kind of a lounge area, and it was a long flight, so we could stop, mid-flight between the meals or late at night when the cabin lights were turned down, and we could go back and snack a little if we were still hungry. But when it came time to land in Tokyo, the stewardess, the flight attendants came around, and they had steaming hot towels so you could wash your face, you could wash your hands. It was really refreshing after a flight that long. The thing I don't know if I cared for on that flight, as the pilot came in for a landing, all the projection screens, because you didn't have individual monitors in those days to play movies. Each room had a projection screen, and the nose camera came on, so we could tell whether or not he was putting that center line wheel on the line he was supposed to as he came in for a landing, or whether he was drifting, or whether he was just off. So everybody on board got to critique the pilot's landing in Tokyo. Yeah, I'm not so sure I'd want to know how bad things were going with a side wind or just a young pilot. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get this packed. I don't think there are any real surprises here. None of these are going to come up near the 3-pound ground advantage. They will have to be checked, though, against the rural urban zip thing. And interestingly enough, yes, the post office has once again raised rates, but this time it was a little bit. I think we're not even supposed to notice, which is good because we got almost no notice. But it looks like they've pushed up that 3 to 5 pound ground advantage a little bit, nickels and dimes. And I wonder if they're going to keep pushing that up right up to the point where it's back to the normal range, 3 pounds being more expensive than 2 pounds. And I've done that myself from time to time. If I've got an item like this and I've got it in quantity, sometimes I'll put those items up and I'll put them up under market, especially if there's a lot of competition. And when they sell and I get a few solds under my belt so that eBay recommends mine, I'll keep nudging up the price a little bit back up to market. To get some sales, I'll undercut the price. And then once I'm solidly locked in, I'll raise it a little bit at a time. I'll raise it to the point where it's where I really want to sell them at. But I don't get a chance to do that all that often because normally when I get something in multi-quantity, there's not a lot of competition for it out there. I'm not out buying the barcoded items that are available at the Walmarts and the Amazons. And so that opportunity just doesn't present itself very often. But I'm going to go ahead and pack these. And here's the item. Good to have the red circle back, even though now that seems to be a horizontal oval. But it tells me I sold all 4 of them. These little switches, made in Germany, they're shipping out international. And here you can see the actual listing with the indicator label and the fact that they're going out ground advantage. Collectively, they're paying $10.49 for the 4 switches. And I am out of stock of the red ones. I do have some green ones, I think. And there are the Pomona plugs. Yeah, I wrapped them in a little corrugated, put them in a bubble. This label actually came in under $6 to Massachusetts. I guess there are no rural areas in Massachusetts. The state is so small. You enjoy your night. You enjoy your week. You're a bunch of berry pickers. Oregon blueberries or Oregon huckleberries?
Huckleberries. They're native Washingtonian huckleberries.
Oh, I think they've smuggled themselves up from Oregon.